aggressive and in being a lunatic in the ways that makes you so defensive. What happened was not your fault. Every day gives us that opportunity to go about making ourselves better. So tell yourself, look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that the war is over. The things in which you had to go about doing in order to go about sustaining life, you no longer have to go about doing it. If yesterday you stole so that you could eat, come to terms with what you have to do in order for you to go about surviving. The testing point in life is that it will see to what extremes will you go about doing what is asked of you in order for you to go about going forward. Just because you stole, that doesn't make you a thief. Any person that steals in order to go about eating, that person is doing what survival is asking of them. If you must lie, lie. But don't become a liar. Know that today is a new day. The things you did, you knew no better. Because survival brings out that will to keep on going. But the reason I come off and say this in this court is this. Too many of us are living in a survival. And if we're merely surviving, we're not thriving in life. The fulfillment of life is to have us go about thriving and go about having us live our best life. Now, in order for us to go about living our best life, we must come to terms and realize that what we endured yesterday produced the embodiment of what you go about seeing in the mirror every time you look at yourself. Life asks us of things at different point in time. Life is no straight line, but yet we keep on marching on. So just go about telling yourself that the war is over. The things that you went about doing in order for people to go about liking or being accepted by your peers. You did those things because you did not know better. You did not understand that in order for others to go about liking me, I must start liking myself. In the event of that you went from man to man, that you went about looking for love in all of these different types of ways, was to go about showing that you have to love yourself in order for others to go about loving you. The violation and humiliation of being abused as a child by those who are around you. There is no excuse for that, because the wicked piece of shits will have to go about attaining and answering for what they did. But that does not make you who you are. The war is over. I need for each and everyone to start loving themselves. Some of the things that we have to.
Hi, Kevin Jones. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. And on this road to discovery.
About putting up with just in order for us to go about surviving from a day-to-day basis. It's demanding. Yes, I give you that. But yet at the same time, look for ways in which you can move yourself from one station to the next. so that you may go about finding that peace in your life that is so truly deserved. Make it so that because the terrors of war, the mortars of shells, the constant gunfire that happen abroad and overseas do not go about triggering for you to stay in the combativeness that you want to go about fighting each and every person that comes into your life. We must come to realize that we're home. And if your home is not a state of peace, then I wish for you to go about seeking that peace that you go about needing to go about living the fulfillment and prosperity in life that life is trying to go about giving you. You must come to realize we must move our state of mind. We must move in how we're going about looking at things. We must go about in how we're going about anticipating life. Because not every fight is meant to be fought. And not every engagement need be met with hostility. But because we have encompassed a survival's mentality in which we go about looking at life from a day to day, we do not move on from it. Certain things call for certain actions. Yes, I give you that. But the war is over. You will learn that in all things there are seasons. There's no winter all year long. There's no summer all year long. So why are we still staying in the survival mode all year long? When do we go about getting that time to rest? When do we say that I have gone about abusing myself and this is enough? You see, when we come to realize that life comes in different lessons and stages, and in order for us to go about elevating, we must leave one stage of life behind just in order for us to go about coming up with a healthier state of mind. Make it so that whatever is trouble, whatever you've been through, go about finding that peace within yourself. Whatever you have done, go about making peace. Let it be. That does not go about defining you. And the only way to go about finding out who you are is when you start going about letting go of the triggers that are holding you back. Because too many of us are at war with ourselves by the way we have been treated, by the way we have been downtrodden, by just how society have just gone about manipulating and having us believe that we are not worth a damn. But the ones that we're fighting is we're going about fighting ourselves, and we need to stop fighting ourselves. We must find that peace in order for us to go about going forward. The war is over. The things you did, the things that seems as if though they were the only solutions.
Life on a whole takes us to a place. And with that, we got to come to realize that we must do the things that is beneficial to us. So today's live is just about enjoying nature, man. Some of the things that we take for granted and how we go about viewing things. It's the simplicity that goes about giving us purpose and understanding. look at nature with its grand.
wanted to show you that there's more. And by you engaging and letting go, I pray that you come to see that the wall is up. Make it so. Do your best.
Thanks.
You go on about obtaining that peace.
We take nature for granted.
It's a peace of mind, a peace of animal, and a peace that goes about bringing stillness and calmness in every situation that you go about finding yourself. Because I will go about telling you, the one thing about life is that what we go about vibrating, the energy that we carry, that energy will come in turn come about finding us. So if we're vibrating from a hostility, if we're vibrating from a negativity, if we're vibrating from a bitterness, that energy will in turn return and show you this is what you're calling for, so this is who you're going to go about getting. For even in war, the wounded truly never recover. And those are the casualties of war. These are the things that goes about showing you that we truly never recover. But in order for us to go about getting better, we must start the healing and take life one day at a time. And in each day, you make it your business that you go about doing the best you can and not going about reverting back to what you did in order to go about surviving, because there's a better way. This is a journey which goes forward. There's none that have ever gone from a senior citizen back to a baby. Yes, in the physical sense, we do. But in the conscious level, we have to go about seeing that life goes forward. And in the forward movement of things, that's where progression and progress comes, to go about helping us make it so that each day we become grateful for our many blessings and see some of the things that we go about taking for granted is their ingredients each and every day. So in changing our attitudes and changing the way how we go about feeling life, that will help us to realize that these things that we're holding on to, they're traps, which brings nothing. And if one is going about doing nothing, not to go about bettering themselves, bettering their mind state, not to go about bettering their environment, then one is merely surviving. So I must ask you, are you surviving or are you thriving? Because the war is over. What you've gone through, that does not go about defining who you are. What you're going through, that's merely less than the more we grow, the more we will come to know. So sorrow comes for those who come to understand that in the placement of life, these things which burdens us, because for the enjoyment in life of all is to go about finding peace. And then with finding peace, then we will go about practicing love for each and every one. But if our energy is engulfed, if our energy is engulfed with bitterness and rage, then we will continue to be at war. Like what Brother Bob says, there will be rumors of war because of the way how we go about living. Mankind as a whole is not going about embodying the philosophy in which life goes about bringing blessings on top of blessings. Now, that's my message. Make love and peace one within one. You and yours is having a blessing. And that we going about making every opportunity into something to be grateful, proud, and an uplifting moment. Now, coming along with that, these are some of the things. Bless up. You already know how we go around this time. We're here to make things right. Peace out to you and yours. Blessings. And congratulating each and every person doing what they got to do to go about making it through each and every day. Because every day brings a struggle. And it's a new one. So, much praise, much props to all those who are doing what it takes to go about getting things done in their life, you see. And one of the things that we have to go about seeing is that life is not easy at times, but despite it having its many challenges, we still go about finding the strength to keep on going. Now that's the mystification that goes about leaving us inanimate, goes about leaving us in awe. Because no matter how rough things get, the answer is right around the corner. And it's those that goes about holding on with a faith and knowing that things will ultimately go about working itself out. Those that goes about seeing themselves from a viewpoint that it's all about them or blaming others for their misfortune have not yet come to know the truth. And in coming to know the truth, one has to go about realizing that there's two kinds of people in this world. There are those who will go through things. They will acknowledge what their mistakes were. They will have learned from what they're going through. And they will have taken that lesson to go about applying their shortcomings to the lessons that's coming forth in the future. But then there are those who will go about stopping at nothing to find blame with each and every person why their life isn't shit. They will stop at nothing because they find comfort in going about blaming others for why they are in the predicament they're in. But the reason I wanted to go about illustrating that is to show that when we have become conditioned to think a certain way, to act a certain way, to go about upholding a certain attitude, we are not living our best life. And like what Brother Malcolm X said, they got two kind of Negroes. They got the house Negro and they got the field Negro. Now the field Negro, his way of thinking is he wants better for himself because he does not believe he is being treated fairly in the house that he goes about not residing in, but being kept in. So his viewpoint is to go about running away, escaping his horrible master. So he takes his viewpoint on to the next, to the house Negro. But the house Negro has become conditioned in the way how he goes about thinking of himself and thinking of the treatment that he received. He goes about justifying the nonsense in the way how he is looking at life. He will go to the extremes and go about justifying the treatment in which he receives just to go about making somebody else look good. Now, within that, they got two kind of people in this world. Which one are you? Because unless you come to know that, you will act accordingly in how people want you to go about carrying on. And if one does not come to go about realizing at what side of the spectrum they go about relating to, then one have no conscientious notion of who they really are. One has no viewpoint of what's embodied within them. Because the one thing that society will always go about promoting, in order for you to go about losing yourself, it's called the application of replication. Find somebody that you want to be like and do as they do in order for you to become successful. But why doesn't society go about telling you? Find out who you are so that you can go about becoming the best version of who you are to be. You see, we're all tasked with different things in life. My responsibility will never be your responsibility, and your responsibility will never be their responsibility. But unless we come to go about knowing what our responsibility is on this journey, we will forever be replicating what others have gone about doing. Like I always tell people, in the notion that you could put two people in hell, one will find peace, the other will find pure misery. You could put two, say, take those same two individuals, put them in heaven. One will find peace and the other one will be in misery. But it goes to show the uniqueness in which each and every human being goes about on this journey. Now, the one thing that I would like to go about illustrating and pointing out to make it seem in that we have to come to know who we are in order for us to go about doing what it is we're supposed to go about doing on this journey. And don't believe that there's somebody else like you. They might look like you, but they can't be you. They might dress like you, they might act like you, but the notion of the matter is there's only one you. Everybody else has to be themselves. So why don't you be yourself? And that's the truth of the matter. We must go about freeing ourselves from this slang ghetto mentality and going about promoting that we have to be somebody else. No, the only thing that life asks of you is for you to go about being yourself. That's all life is asking of you. Free yourself. Free your mind so that in time what you do comes from the heart. Don't do things in an expectation of rewards because you're only gonna go about disappointing yourself. Like they had this female who told me this when I was young. She said, a real woman knows a real man. All they have to do is be themselves. Now that's my blessing. That refresher, that recharge, that stimulation, come on with a double shot of inspiration and a boost, a whole lot of motivation. It's that perfect latte that you need without the caffeine to go about getting you right. So just know that when we go about looking at life, there's so many different facets that goes about bringing together what we call life. But one thing that we have come to know is that we as human beings are made up of so many different intricate things that makes life possible. And I've been saying that is this. If you look at the human anatomy and the way the body was constructed, the heart plays an intricate role in allowing for the body to go about functioning. The brain also has a process in which it plays so that the human body can go about functioning. We look at all our internal organs. Everything plays a part. So when I hear people go about questioning the validity of do we have a soul, it causes me to pause because the reason I pause is that we have not come to the truth in knowing the makeup of what we are constructed of. And the construction is as such. There's a spirit where it goes about giving you spark. And that spirit is the driving fuel, the force, the ignition that goes about causing all things to go about working. And if you have seen any of my previous lives, you will see I consistently go about talking about energy and how energy is the driving force to life. Energy makes all things work, move, and come into understanding. Now, along with that,
Hey, give me a break right quick. Let me since we're not all robots, that's where the soul comes in. The soul comes in a viewpoint that it goes about displaying your uniqueness. And your uniqueness is one of your true characteristics, what you are made of. And the thing that we all must take the time to go about realizing is that by embracing our soul, we begin a journey of living in harmony. And to go about living in harmony, there have been a lot of misconceptions. And with all these misconceptions, it makes one afraid to go about embarking on a journey to having a moment in which they embark on discovering in this day and age. That's what we need. We need that love in our life. And when we go about incorporating that love, that genuine feeling of going about holding on to love, it will help us. It will help us in that we will be able to look for and comfort the many challenges that come about in our lives. Now, when it comes to life, life only goes about asking that you stay true to yourself. Life doesn't ask for anything else. It only asks that you go about being true to who you are. It doesn't want you to be anybody else, because being anybody else, you wouldn't know what to do, because all you know is you. But the reason I go about saying this in this accord is too many of us have gone about living by a perception rather than comfort or reality of being ourselves. And I know it's tough right now because there's so many different facets and so many different things grabbing at your attention. There's these social medias, there's these magazines, there's TV ads, and everybody wants to pull you in a direction. But the trick in being yourself is to comfort the idea that no matter how you're being viewed, you find comfort in your skin. And with saying that, it's only when we go about loving ourselves, only when we come to terms with who we are. Like the old adage song, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. The guy's wishing for everything that he's not. And rather than just come to terms with that. He a little bit over damn 4'11", you see. And because he wants to be taller, he's doing it for all the wrong reasons. He doesn't come to realize that he was born that way for a reason. And because of perception, a lot of guys believe that if I present myself in a certain kind of way, that will go about making me more attractive to females. If I wear a certain type of clothes, if I go about driving a certain type of car, then that is what everybody else will take notice of me. But the reason I go about bringing these things up in this report is this. If you could afford it, fine, go for it. Live a lavish lifestyle. But if you can't afford it, then at the end of the day, you're only fooling yourself. You're not fooling anybody else. Because when the bill comes due, ain't nobody gonna be there to help you pay that bill. So in being yourself, it's all about coming to know what you can do and what you are not going to go about pressured into doing. Because peer pressure is a big factor. And at first I thought it was only something with kids. But I see that it's common at all different stages of life. Like, I know some people, somebody goes out and get a car. The next friend will have a car that's working perfectly fine. But just because that other friend when they got a car, they feel pressured in keeping up. They're not even realizing the reason why that person got a car. Now, in trying to keep up with somebody else, you can't go about paying attention to what's going on in your life because you're always chasing after something. But the beauty of it all is become satisfied with what you have. Make it so that it's okay. If you got a little Pinto and it gets you from point A to point B with no problems, then you good. You don't have to want to drive a Benz. You don't have to want to get a damn 7-bedroom house and it's only you and your dog. Why are we trying to take ourselves to these such extraneous levels when all it does is goes about putting a strain on us? Because the people we're trying to impress aren't even that worried about what you're doing. They might take a quick glance, but yet at the same time, they're not going to be like, man, that's the thing to do. Because people want to show out to people who have less than them, just so they can make themselves feel as if though they sitting on top of the world. But this goes back to the old notion. The emptiest barrel makes the most noise. So, if anything that goes about presenting itself with a lot of flash, it has no substance. You want to be the person that has substance. Like, one of the things that carries us on this journey is when we come to terms, when we come to realize where we're at in this journey of life, then we can start want everybody to be well off. That's not going to be the case, because not everybody's going to go about doing what is required of them to go about getting ahead. You see, some of us, we will just sit back and play the victim. We will go about blaming others for our misfortunes. But change only starts when you go about making that change. And the reason I go about saying this is, in the land of opportunities, nobody's telling you you can't do it but you. So now, if you are holding on to an attitude and telling yourself that you're incapable of doing some of the things that you are setting out to do, then it's not going to get done. And that's why it goes into a mindset. Yesterday I spoke on temperament. Temperament is very key, but a healthy mindset is the icing on the cake. Because with a healthy mindset, it allows you the fortitude, the grit, the determination that no matter what you go through in life, that you're capable of achieving it. You see, when you start to believe that will go about laying the groundwork, it will help you to realize all the things that you're capable of. But if we have a mindset that everything we do is going to be flawed, then how far do you think you're going to get? It starts with the mind. The chakras teach you there are 7 chakras, but the highest of the chakras is up here. The highest of the elevation. Your brain goes about processing so much information just so that you could go about functioning. And because some of us, let it be the environment, let it be the society, let it be the struggles of life, we have dialed down how we go about our outlook towards life. We beat ourselves down. We tell ourselves all these inconceivable things, and in that we can't go about accomplishing what we're set out to do. And that is a crying shame. We must change that mindset. It's only then will we be allowed to go about reaping the benefits of our hard labor. You see, without work, there's no pay. You can't get paid if you don't want to go to work. Even a thief is working his ass off. You don't work, you don't eat. And that's the name of the game. So anybody who is going around conditioning their mental to go about wanting less, they need to go about reconstructing that, recalibrating that. Because if the mind is not healthy, the body will become sick. And with the body becoming sick, it plagues us with all different anxieties, depression, loneliness. But we must reprogram the mind. Reprogramming the mind is consisting of looking at what situation you're faced with, looking at what your conditions are in life, so that you can go about finding ways to go about improving and stop sitting there complaining. Nobody wants to hear complaints except for a therapist. But even then, you still got to pay that therapist. You see, counseling is good. It relieves things off of your chest and
find a way of coping with different things. But even then, you still have to come to the acknowledgement that you must go about doing something about it. It's a personal choice that all who are on this journey have to go about making. Everybody could want it, but you gotta go get it. And if you don't go get it, then ain't nothing gonna change. But let's just say we all got our way in life. Everything that we ever wanted was right at our feet. Would we find placement and joy in that even though we hadn't worked for it? You see, for a person to go about laboring brings value and understanding of how things work. But a lot of us have come to go about negating the process in which we go about extracting out of what we're doing. Every struggle, every lesson is meant to go about teaching you something. Going back to the old notion, is the glass half full or is the glass, the water half empty? It's all dependent upon outlook. And with outlook, it's then we could go about making that change that is necessary. Because if we do not go about seeing the condition in which we are in, if we are living in such a fallacy, in such a falsehood, telling ourselves things which is not true, and wondering why are we still getting the same exact results, it's because we don't want to change. We have become comfortable lying to ourselves, and that within there is a problem, because you tell enough lies, eventually you'll start to believe your own lies. And in believing your own lies, it will be hard to go about visiting reality. Like the battered woman syndrome. The man beats her because he's worthless. But he pumps his victim up with lies and then telling that woman that you are worthless because nobody's going to want you except for me. And she'll take the abuse because she has allowed herself to go about believing that lie that that man has told her. And accepting that piece of shit's lie, she takes the abuse. But the one thing about life is everything only lasts for a moment. Nothing lasts forever. So no matter how abusive that man had treated that woman, there'll come that time and moment where that woman will go about realizing, I am not worthless. And she will leave that man. She will seek better within herself because within her is the spirit of love. So the reason I go about giving you this is that despite what others go about saying about you, despite how others try to go about treating you, there's a love within you, and that love burns. That love is what will go about setting you free. Allow that love to come out of you. Allow that love to be vibrant. Allow that love to go about radiating. Allow that love to go about lighting up the midnight skies. It's almost as if though the sun had appeared out of nowhere, but it's only your love that is burning. That's the love. That's the love that you need to walk with every damn day. That's the love that you need to carry with you at all times. And in carrying that love, it is a flame that none could go about diminishing. because you were born with that love. You just have to let that love live. Stop diminishing your spark just to go about pleasing others. Because worthlessness will try to go about diminishing your spark. You see, the one thing that we must all come to realize is that when you go about loving you, you have just gone about granting everybody else permission to go about loving you. But when you start hating you, you have just given everybody else permission to start hating you. When you have become bitter, when you have become angry. And the reason I go about saying these things is, and life is not as so. Life is as I demand of myself, so do I demand of everybody else. Because if you're not holding yourself up, who do you expect to hold you up? If you're not doing right by yourself, how do you expect others to do right by you? Because if I'm not setting the bar, then I should be able to accept everything else that others go about treating me, looking at me, demeaning me, talking me down. But life doesn't work that way. Life works in a format in which that we allow people to treat us how they treat us. Because if you don't put a stop to foolishness, foolishness persists. And then when foolishness persists and it gets out of hand, you can't blame that other person because you have given that person a free rein and pass in which they can go about and how they go about treating you. So, you see where I'm going with this? It's best that you make it so that you start each and every day by loving you. And in loving you, it will help you. It will transform you. It will allow you to go about garnering the right mindset, the right attitude, despite anything that you may go through in life. Make it so. It's okay. It's okay in loving you. It's okay in you putting you first. It's okay to say no. But what's not okay is that you become everybody else's stepping stool. That shit's not okay. Never will be. And the only way you can go about being good to others is when you start being good to yourself. Now, that's the blessing in all lessons. We have to go about looking at life and see that if a tree does not get water, how will the tree ever grow? The tree cannot grow if the tree is not watered. For those who have grass, if you do not water your lawn, it will surely perish. For those who do not go about giving the body, the mind, the proper nourishment, what do you think is going to take place? We can't cheat the laws of nature. We must give things its proper accord. And in giving things its proper accord, then we see the benefits of it. If you got around and you see how
the effects of neglect has taken a hold on society. It's discouraging in that young people no longer rush to help the seniors or the elders. Everybody is so wrapped up in their own little world that we do not care what direction life goes in. And because we do not care what direction life goes in, it propagates a falsehood. A falsehood in that we feel estranged and feel alone because nobody carrying on in the basic use of manners with the greeting salutations of good morning or good evening or how's your day going? Nobody. Because everybody is so wrapped up in their devices that they don't want to miss the next best thing. But within that, these are only traps to make you go about leaving what's most important behind. And that is you. You must prioritize yourself at the end of every day and go about looking at it, and what didn't work for you, leave that alone. What worked with it. You can't take today's problem into yesterday. You can't take tomorrow's problem into the day before. So, in order for us to go about having a healthy mindset, we need to stop worrying about the what ifs, what went wrong, what this. No, all you need to start promoting your mindset with is, let me engage in whatever it is that I am doing. Let me become fixated in what I am doing so that I can go about doing the best job possible. And once you have done the best job possible, don't worry about the what ifs, because what's going to happen is going to happen. Life is going to happen. We can't dictate the pace of life. We can't plant watermelons and expect to be harvesting grapes, you see. But some of us, we have become so convinced and in thinking that we could go about changing things. And in changing things, it makes us feel as if though we are God. But that's a fallacy within itself. If we start to go about paying attention to the encounters that we have, we will see that some people are just no damn good. We will see that some people are just full of shit. But because we have this holistic ideology, I could fix them, I could change them. We make all these excuses. They are acting this way because of some irrational excuse we go about telling ourselves, just to go about validating whatever point we need to validate to ourselves. But when it doesn't turn out the way we anticipated or wanted it to go, we become bitter, we become angry. And in becoming bitter and angry, we tell ourselves, but I did this, I was there for that person, I helped this person. And when the person in turn doesn't share the same sentiment, we become so discouraged. And we start to blame everybody else. But we don't want to see the blame because we don't want to be honest with ourselves. We don't want to go about telling ourselves that we goofed up in life. And because we goofed up in life, all of the signs were there. But we planted watermelons and expected to harvest grapes. Life does not change. One of the things I constantly try to go about telling people, if people had the ability to go about listening, they would see that people would go about telling us who they are. All we have to do is be cognitive and listen, because they will go about demonstrating. My mom's grandfather, she said, when you're dating somebody, everybody's a perfect angel on the first couple of dates. But after the fifth or sixth date, that's when you gonna go about seeing their true nature. And no matter what kind of person people try to go about pretending or illustrating themselves to be, their true nature will eventually show. But within their true nature being shown, you cannot go about lying to yourself. You cannot tell yourself what you're seeing is not true, because that in itself is not a healthy balance. Right. One of the things that was disturbing to me as a kid, we used to go to this park, and we would get down and play ball and stuff like that. And in playing ball, one dude was on a bus, and the other dude had a BMW, I think, whatever it is. So it's getting late. So the one brother was like, all right, man, I'm gonna holler at y'all. And the other brother started walking in the opposite direction, but I found this to be odd. So when the one brother walking in the opposite direction, I was like, my man, your brother about to leave, why you don't get a ride with him? And dude was like, man, we don't even get down like that. But even with that, that really never erased my mind, because it showed an unhealthy mind. Let it be due to pride, let it be due to ignorance, let it be due to just selfishness or just hatred. And an unhealthy mind will go about producing things which is unhealthy. Now that would have been the same brother that would have been boo-hoo crying if something would have happened to his brother at the bus stop. You see, we want to pretend to be some things, but we don't carry ourselves in that light. And because we want to pretend so much, it leaves us wondering, are we really being truthful to ourselves? Yeah. So the journey is more about just being one with self and trying to find that peace of comfort within self and doing things that can go about helping us promote the growth within ourselves, man. And let it be that each moment you take, you look for ways to go about helping yourself. Find that peace, loving yourself, nurturing yourself. And the day and age where we need to stop neglecting ourselves and come to love. Find that love within ourselves. Here's this unfailing love that I've been dying to get off my chest and just let it flow. It only seems that trouble surrounds me. Day and night I find no peace. Why does it seem you're far from me? My heart cries and my mouth stumbles, weeping and fumbling, not understood, but only seen as a stumbling fool. They see me and laugh. I remain true as best as I know. It is though I have lost you and that I'm in a deep sleep and cannot wake. But slowly I realize there you stand, my pillar on which I lay my head. Tried and true, your humble servant, not by man, but by your command. Precise is your measurement, not off by any measure. Only now I realize your love is true and true. In life, we're gonna go through things to help us understand and make us realize the beauty that's within. But the only way you get to truly enjoy is by embracing the struggle. It will help you see things about yourself. The divine is always there. He will do what you can, but in order for life, you have to do your part in order to go forward. And it's by his plan you are going through some of these things. But as you're going through these things, they're only meant to help build you up. They're not here to knock you down. They are here to help uplift you. And when we come as a child, like I said in the previous video, humble, it really helps us to put ourselves in a position of understanding that what we went through yesterday will help prepare us for today. And everything is a building block. And that's why I wanted to put out unfailing love, because it's only by God's plan that we continue to grow and we excel at life. Now with that, I leave you with these words. I want you to, upon rising in the morning, just give me 5 minutes of your time. Repeat, humble as you start your day. Lay in your bed, go in your quiet place, and just clear your head for 5 minutes. No cell phone, no TV, nothing. Just enjoy the beauty of life and just sit there. And I leave you with that today, and I say bless and thank you. Yes. Make that. Bless, bless. Peace and blessing be on you and yours. In this day and age, where everything seems as if it's done. Nobody cares. But one of the things that I would like to go about sharing from this viewpoint is that caring starts when you show that it's not what people go about saying or how they go about treating, but the effects that it goes about having upon you. And many times we have come to see the damaging effects that a comment could go about making, or a demeanor, or a rumor. But this is the thing that I can tell you in this notion of that everybody could only go about being themselves. You see, too many times we have left ourselves at a disadvantage. We go about expecting too much of people. And in expecting too much of people, we become disappointed
when they don't go about living up to our lofty expectation and believing that these people somehow are beyond reproach. Like the other day, I was having a convo, and in having this convo, it was shocking to learn that there's so many of us that still hold on to the attitude that because it's a parent or an elder that they shouldn't act in a certain manner or carry on in a certain form or fashion. But I had to tell the person, like, slow down, because that person is carrying on in a format which is comfortable to that person. It's only that you want to go about seeing something that is not there. And in seeing things that's not there, it has us feeling betrayed because of the admiration and so forth. And like what I go about telling everybody, don't hold any human being to a higher regard in relations to a deity or anything personified or glory, because the truth of the matter is we're only human beings having an experience, and we can only come to do the best we know and what we have been given, taught, or come to understand. So part of the plan is admiration and worship for another is false within itself. Take it back to the first commandment that you should have nothing before me besides me. The only thing we should go about admiring is the divine, because that's the truth of the matter. Everything else is only setting ourselves up for failure, because no human being knows everything. No human being will ever get to know everything, because we're all at different places in life, and even with the best of circumstances, you come across trying to do a good deed and a gesture for somebody else, it might be taken out of context just because of where that person's at. Now, that's not to say that you didn't have no goodwill coming towards it, but you can't be mad if your good gesture is not taken as a good gesture. You have to come to understand that that person is where that person is at in their journey. And so many times we hold on to this ideology and that our families is perfection at its best. But our bubble soon becomes deflated when the truth goes about hitting us. And because the truth goes about hitting us, we seem to have some sort of a resentment. And in believing that it shouldn't be this way. How could my own cousin go about stealing from me? Well, the reason your cousin could go about stealing from you is because your cousin is a damn thief, you see. How could my own brother lie about me? Well, the reason your brother could go about lying about you is because your brother is a damn liar. Don't expect. We must learn to go about accepting. And in accepting, then we will come to see that people could only go about being themselves. And the more we come to peace with that, like what I tell my daughter every day, the trick of the matter to life is that one needs to learn how to come to peace with the truth. The truth is the truth. truth may not be something that you like. The truth may not be something that you want to hear. But when we go about acknowledging what's there, then we can start taking better steps to go about alleviating the hurt that we are implementing in our lives. Because with lofty expectations, when those expectations are not met, we are the ones feeling disappointed. It's not other people. Because they say comparison is a cousin to a thief. So if I believe it's supposed to be this way, and their actions portray something else, then I'm just going about lying to myself, and that can't be. So you see the things that we must go about engaging in on a more passionate, grounded, is that we go about seeing what's in front of us. And too many times we have become dismayed and not wanting to go about realizing or having that awareness. And like what I said in the last time, it was a couple lives back where I said, if everybody is laughing, but you don't know what they're laughing about, then you're a joke. There's no other way for you to go about understanding that, because awareness will make truth come to light. But if things are so plain that you can't see, it's only because you go about lying to yourself. And you want to believe these things that you want to go about believing. So let it be that in every way you approach every situation, you approach every lesson with no expectation, but accepting what that lesson is trying to go about. So that's the key that we have to go about keeping in mind. That's the key that we have to go about implementing into our lives, so that when things confront us, we can see what's coming and stop guessing and pretending like we don't know what we are being faced with. Because patience has a virtue, but hesitation is a thief. Remember these things so that you may go about implementing these things into your day and age, and that your walk may be prosperous. That midday get right, that stimulation that goes about making progression seems as if it's the thing to do. Because when we go about allowing progression to come in our life, we go about taking advantage of every opportunity coming in our direction. Now, we all do reflective measures from time to time, and in doing reflective processing, we look at a stage in our life where it was due to uncomfortability, due to a level of uncertainty, or just unaware of what was really jumping off. But this is the thing that I would like to go about asking you in this sense, and that if you had a chance to go about talking to your younger self, let it be 25, 30, 18, 15,
or even at 10. Because one of the things I see, I'm having a younger audience, and I appreciate that. But in looking back at that person that you were, if you were capable of having that one-on-one, of having that conversation with that person, with you, what would you go about telling yourself? And having that conversation with yourself, that it was able to go about altering your future. You see? Because the person that you were yesterday, you're no longer that person. But because of what you have been through, because of the journey that you have taken, it has brought you to a place where you can go about valuing and appreciating what you are doing in your life. But let's just say for the sake of what ifs, if you could go back and talk to that person, if you could go back in time and talk to yourself at whatever age you deemed appropriate, what would you go about telling yourself? Would you tell yourself we're on the right track and we're doing what we need to go about doing? Or would you go about telling yourself there's no need to be afraid because everything's going to be okay? We need to have more conviction in what we are doing, or we are in some of the decisions we go about taking. But now the reason I go about asking you that is that let it be you go about having that conversation with yourself. Because in order for you to get somewhere, you got to start at a point. So the reflective process in us going back to look at a conversation in which we can go about approaching ourselves, it's more a measure of seeing what we need to go about applying in our lives. And by applying these things, then we can go about making a change. Because for me, at 18, to be honest, I would have to say, I would tell myself that do it harder than you did. Because the person that I eventually turned into, it helped me to go about appreciating the little things in life. Life has never been about the grandiose things for me. It's always been about the meaningful things and extracting meaning and out of everything that I go about engaging in. Because life within itself has so many different meanings. And we as human beings, we take too many things for granted. And in taking things for granted, we just don't stop at times just to feel the breeze on our face. We just don't even take the time to bid each other the time of the day. A little word of salutation coming from another might be just because we have become so consumed doing and how we are going. It has us at a distance we are no longer in a place where we go about comforting the idea that we are supposed to go about doing better in life. So the thing is, what would you go about telling yourself if you had the chance to have that one-on-one? If you had the capability to go about having that conversation? Because would it be a content conversation, or would it be a hostile conversation that what you've been through? And because of what you've been through, how is the approach be directed towards yourself? Because remember, you would be capable of talking to your younger self, so you wouldn't have the same mindset that you have at this juncture in your life. So how would that conversation go? Would it be something that you would be interested in having with your younger self to help prepare yourself moving forward in life? You see, now, many of us, we go forward, and in going forward, we don't take that reflective aspect and looking back, because we're so consumed in the ways of society. And because we're so consumed by the ways of society, we're constantly redirecting and refocusing our energy. But since we are redirecting and refocusing our energy, it just leads to show that we are not taking time out of our busy schedule just to see how far we've come along in life. And in having that appreciation and showing that gratitude to see and come to understand the growth in which you have made as a person should be encouraging enough for you to keep going. And I know there's no do-overs in life. And since there's no do-overs in life, life only goes forward. But the application that we can go about using is a reflective process. So hit me in the chat. What would you go about telling your younger self if you had that capability to have that combo? What would you tell yourself? And in telling yourself these things, remember, you must be encouraging to yourself, despite whatever you've gone through, despite the choices that you have made. It has gone about bringing you to the place where you are in life. So share your thoughts so that we could go about exploring these things. And in exploring these things, it will help us to get a better understanding of where we are in life. Because every road leads to somewhere. And if you don't know what road you're on, you're going to go anywhere. So it is best that we come to find out where we're going in life it's best that we take that time to see, come to understand and know where we have been so we can have a sense of direction in where we are going. For even a tree has roots to go about giving a stable foundation against the wind. So in two, you must go about going on analyzing and realize what person you are developing into. And then you realize these things. Even when the pressures of life comes, you will not be dissuaded because you have come to understand where you were and where you are. And where you are, you're trying to grow on top of it. You're trying to make more of it. So, hit me up. Put something in the combo. Put something in there. And what would be some of the things that you would want to go about telling yourself? What would be some of them things that you would want to go about telling yourself? And so forth. Yeah, so hit me up, man. Let me know. What will be the drop on it? What will be the motivation? And in that, would you give your younger self some insight? It's okay. Okay, we have from Lasani. It's okay. This would be the advice I think she would be giving to her younger self. It's not your fault, and this won't hold you back forever. Great advice, great advice. And in that, we all gonna go through some things. We all are gonna be faced with obstacles in our lives. And being faced with obstacles in our lives, whatever we didn't know, life was only trying to go about teaching us. Life doesn't hold you or blame you for what you don't know. But life only go about asking. That lesson was for something you wanted to teach you. It does not really goes about holding you to blame. And the most beautifulest word she says, this won't last because nothing lasts forever. Everything is only a moment in time. And that's one of the things that I wish everybody would come to realize. Everything is only for a while. Nothing lasts forever. The good times, it's gonna fade away. The bad times, they're gonna fade away as well. But everything is just a moment in time, in which in that when we learn to let go, that's when we move past these things. So, great conversation. That would. Yes. So, hopefully everybody enjoyed the live. We'll be back on again. Thank you for your time. Bless.